Okay, I'm going to call the January 5th meeting of the Mullett Township Board of Trustees to order. We'll rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll open to public comments. Mary?
Hi. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
If you haven't already heard, Bud Garlick of Toppinabee passed away on December 13th. Bud was a TDA director for several years and a great presence on the board. He will be greatly missed. There will be a memorial service this coming Saturday at St. Thomas Lutheran Church in Sheboygan. At our December TDA board meeting, of which Bud was present, we discussed a possible approach that the TDA might take to assist the township in moving forward with the Toppinabee Beach Park Improvement Project, and specifically improvements at the north end of the park/pavilion. We had this discussion in light of the trust fund's decision not to award the grant to the township. A motion was made at our meeting to support efforts by the township board if they decide to focus on improving the area north of the pavilion as per the wave trim plan. The TDA would be willing to solicit donations from local citizens to augment existing township designated funds for ongoing park development. In other words, the TDA would do as much as possible to assist the township if they decide to approach this effort. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. Any other comment?
Carl Muscat. I'd like to wish the board a happy new year. We finally got snow. I think we all needed that for the economy here. I want to address a couple things. I had sent you an email concerning the Mary Nisley easement that Mullett Township has taken a position they're going to defend as township property. I hope you might look at that as using part of that for an ADA parking spot right adjacent to the ADA ramp. It would not lose any land. That's, it's a little piece of land that's very hard to use really, but the old driveway that Ms. Nisley has been using recently would make an excellent snowmobile access to the lake. Directly off of Beeson, through the drive there, make a sharp left turn, and it would only have to be snow fenced off to keep snowmobiles off the rest of the park. The present area down by the beach, where sportsmen have had access the last 2 winters, that spring it's sort of gotten redirected with all the beachfront development there, and that remains open water all winter now. So you can't really safely go out on the ice right there by foot. I just want to mention that. The other issue is with the trust fund grant being denied, I would like to think I made some contribution to it being denied, but honestly I didn't. I've received all the scoring, all the communication from the township officials, between the trust fund board and staff. 290 points. There were 117 development projects submitted this year. Mullett Township was soundly in the bottom 25%, which means that the trust fund board and the scoring system that they use for recreational improvements found that that was not really recreational use at all, simply parking lots. So I think that in weighing in effect with the fact that there was a lot of local opposition to it as well, I would ask that you really consider about paving overall Toppinabee. We all know the north end parking lot by the pavilion is used a lot for overflow parking for Lakeshore Drive residents, and that's fine, but I hate to see losing lawns and trees to put paved parking in there for them. Thank you.
Any other comments? David?
First of all, I'd like to compliment the Mullett Township Board, past and present. Because of prior boards we have in our township, because of their vision, we have a beautiful library that serves the needs of our community and our guests. We have the school house property and the adjacent playground, and hopefully this can one day be expanded to be a true community service center for meetings, learnings, cultural opportunities for our citizens. We have the Lakeside Park that is used far more today than it has been in generations. We have docking facilities for people who come to our community from across the lake to visit the top of the new market, Cafe Noka, and the Breakers. And as a side note, thanks to Cafe Noka, Jeff, and Derek, without whom Tockenby would in short order become an Afton or an Odin or a Riggsville. Thanks to the vision of those people, we have a viable community here, and we need to continue to support them. I would encourage the board to continue to have a vision beyond the end of your nose, like we have for generations, going back to as far as the Snyders and Dean Smith and Louis and Cheryl Haddon and on. Those people had a vision for the future. And despite a very few, very vocal naysayers, it's thanks to people like them and yourselves that we still have a viable community, and we need your future vision to maintain this community as it is.
Okay, thank you, David. Any other comments? Okay, I'll close the public comments, and I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of December 1st.
I'll make a motion to approve unless someone has some corrections.
I think there was one correction, right, Rachel?
I corrected that on the official copy.
Okay. There was a correction on Dennis's name.
Spelling.
Yeah.
Is there
Did you catch that, Dennis?
No, I didn't. Just read past it.
It was your name. And I corrected it before I brought the official copy to the meeting.
Is there a second for the motion?
I'll support it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I hear the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report as of December 31st, 2015. Today's date is January 5th, 2016. General accounts, the checking, $29,366. Savings is $55,280. The fire fund savings, $389,391. The library fund, $50,286. The light fund, $48,997. Liquor fund, $1,293. The donations fund, $1,510. Tax savings account is $612,631. Checking, $524. The investment accounts, CD securities is $75,400. The fire CD truck is $124,660. Scuba is $20,289. Dedicated accounts, the old schoolhouse CD, $137,755. Township parking lot savings, $76,451. The hall renovation savings, $30,960.
Okay, we put those in the minutes. Next, the Mullett Township expenditures for the third quarter.
Third quarter fiscal expenditures for the fiscal year of 2015-2016. The general fund spent $64,499.24. The fire fund spent $42,056.60. The liquor fund was $258.36. The light fund was $2,749.56. And the library spent $26,821.85 for a total of $136,385.61.
Can I just ask a question on the light fund?
What?
On the light fund?
Yes?
Why did we have any expenditures in there? I thought we were still in the,
Well, that's what we're now spending down our savings.
Yeah.
oh, you're
runs-
spending, okay, I see
It
what you're saying.
runs
You're
a
just
little
taking it out
over-
of the
yeah,
general fund.
it
Okay,
runs
got
a
it.
little over, we didn't have that for
Yeah, we
about 8
weren't
or
taking
9
anything
months.
out.
We didn't spend any money.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
now it's running a little over $900 a month. I don't know what it'll run this winter. It'll be a little higher.
Yeah, that's fine. That's,
We're just starting to
You're
get
just
away
starting
from
to-
that credit they had. And
Right.
Right, and we're
everything
just
else,
now,
so we're just,
going into the money.
okay, good. Top and beef. We'll do the East, I guess we got the East Malt Lake Fire report in front of us.
Yes, John was coming with me tonight, something come up, he couldn't make it, and he gave me last month's report and this month's report, asked me to bring it here and hand it out.
Okay. Looks like they had, what, 2 fires in December, November, December. And then they had 2 runs in January. EMS both, right? I'm reading that right, I think?
And to be honest with you, Marion, I didn't.
Okay, that's all right. I think that's what it is. He had 2 runs, 1 EMS and 1 EMS assist in Kohler Township in a training session in January. And in December, he had 2 EMS runs and 2 training sessions. Okay. Captain B?
Yeah. Went on a little tree killing mission, I think, with this.
I see that.
The thinner of the 2 is going to be just our December. So that's the normal report, courtesy of the windstorm. We had 24 runs.
Wow.
Background on top of that, in addition to all the trees and power lines coming down, at the same time, Central's radio went down.
Oh.
So every department was requested to man the station and work through the 800 radios, or if you know your dispatcher, text works a little better. So that was pretty much that. This has actually become the year of power lines for us. As far as training, the one night we did an apparatus inventory. Basically everything came out of the trucks. Kind of get the new guys a little more familiar with stuff. We came in here, did some videos on better search operations and some different tactics to kind of make us a little more efficient if we do have to do a search. Another funeral detail, this time in Springvale. We got, not necessarily us, but every fire department got kind of a nasty grant from Central about how they want us to use our radios. So we discussed that for an hour and then went over some winter driving ops and how to use our tire chains, and that was our drill. The big bulk of paper is just the year report. The top breaks it down percentage-wise by what I actually entered as what we responded to. So it kind of gives you that. The only one probably that won't make any sense, I don't know how I did it, the one earthquake assessment, I missed that one too, I guess. It doesn't look that way on the computer. I did go back and look at it. And then the other one is the same thing. It is every run for the year, both what the run was, and then the second set is what the location of it was. And then the last one is a year of all our training. As far as overall, it was 120 runs, which is up about 20, a little over 20 runs from last year. It's really that lines down. As you can see, that was 21% of our call volume this year, with 25 total, and the other 3 are probably related to that too, so 28 runs, all with storm-related stuff. Looking at the percentages overall of the runs, of those 20, 73 of them were in Mullett Township for like 61% around there. 40 of them ended up in Burt for roughly a third or 33%, and we had 7% or 7 runs that ended up, 7 runs that ended up being about 6% for mutual aid going into, like, I know 2 went to Inverness and probably 4 down to Tuscarora. Everything else is right on the money. We actually had less EMS runs this year than we did last year, so it's just that power line thing that really got us this year.
What do you do how do you assist on the power lines? I mean, what do you do when you go to a power line call?
We're basically the notifier. Central finds it, we gotta go and be the eyes for consumer, Presqu'île, kind of what they have, and notify which power company to call and do. If it's still believed to be hot and actively arcing, we kind of gotta try and stay there somewhat and keep it as safe as we can. If we get a bunch of them, it kind of gets to the point where we're hoping consumers or Presqu'île just come, shuts them down, and we had, like the other day, we had a bunch of them just taped off and left, because we didn't have the manpower needed today to sit on them. So that's really it.
Yeah, so you're basically the first line of defense for consumers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Right. Which, if it keeps being that busy, we might want to look at whether it's got to be ordinance or how we got to do it, coming up with some sort of a pay structure to go back after the power companies.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I know it's been discussed, and I know consumers actually pushes for it, because I think that's their theory, that they'll get more of their linemen replaced, because it really is pretty few and far between. And the other unknown background about the whole Christmas Eve debacle, that night, so Tuesday night, they had a big retirement party at Consumers. So of their linemen, only 2 could actually respond that first morning.
No wonder.
Which is what kind of probably put them behind the 8 ball a little bit.
Yeah. Is that getting reimbursed from the power company something that other fire?
They're all starting to look into it. This was the regional lady out of West Branch that came up and did our class on it the one day. They're kind of trying to push for it because they realize it's a little astronomical too.
Yeah.
It used to kind of be that we'd wait for Presqu'île a lot longer because they fixed as they came this way from home first, which I'm an electrician, I understand that. And consumers with being in Sheboygan used to be right on the dot, but now it's completely the other way. Presqu'île is a pre-sewer equipment call, and consumers just frankly sucks. It's a nightmare.
So what's the process of timing to think about doing that?
That I honestly don't know.
Would that come out of your regional group, or is that what you're thinking?
I think at the association level, we can see what they do, but I think with us being municipal, it almost has to be enacted by you guys somehow. And I thought if we did go to an actual fee type structure, I don't know how that all works.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if your organization would have sample ordinances that we could use as a starting point for
Look into it.
for Tim to look at.
That meeting is third Tuesday. Actually, it's here this month, so
That'd be great.
I can ask to see if anybody else is doing it. I know Inverness is billing, but I don't know if they're billing actual for that yet. Plus, they're incorporated too, so that throws a wrench into it a little bit.
Well, it's something I think it's something we should look into, don't you?
Thinking if we're going to actually try to legally collect funds, we need to have some sort of ordinance to back us. We can't do it, so Inverness must have something. They just can't send them a bill.
I can't speak for consumers. I can talk for Presqu'île, and they do not pay.
Presqu'île doesn't pay?
Does not pay. They're a non-profit organization, and for them to charge their members to go out on the runs, bill back to the township as a tax collecting unit, they will not pay.
But do they expect the fire department to be there? To
911 dispatches, fire department, and then I don't know what the fire department's policy is on that.
It's a weird gray area. I know it's been one in the Supreme Court that it's not our responsibility. It was somebody versus City of Muncie. They had one where they went to it, found it dead, notified the power company. It was dead, so they cleared the scene. And the kid came home the next day, found it down in the backyard in Gaza.
Wow.
So that was a huge throw in that lawsuit at the power company, city, fire department. And so it went all the way to the Supreme Court. It wasn't our responsibility because we don't design or maintain the lines. But I don't really want them on my hands either. So usually if it's just the isolated ones, we're pretty good. We can kind of manage it, rotate our guys through and keep them secure. But on days like the other day when we racked up a dozen of them, it's dead. Consumers shut the whole grid down, flag it, and leave. But that's not. And we actually did a lot on our Facebook page about notifying we had 2 roads shut down still for a couple days there over Christmas, and kind of the same thing. Stay away from it. It appeared de-energized when we left, But between the power companies fixing it or a badly installed generator, there's no guarantee that it can't become re-energized. And I know, well, Birchwood had a tree across it, so even if they went past our caution tape, they weren't getting very far. Bennett at Columbus stayed closed through Christmas Eve, over Christmas, and by the day after Christmas, somebody drove through it. And at that point, it was just kind of a low-hanging line, and as long as it wasn't a garbage truck, we should have been okay.
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile for us to at least look into it. I mean, you know, this is happening more and more and more. That's.
And I definitely understand the press deal thing being a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Consumers, like I said, push it. I think consumers' theory, as their linemen retired, they just weren't replacing them, and they've got themselves in a really bad spot. And since they centralized kind of Des Moines City or West Branch, for all we know, if I call consumers tonight, the guy coming to respond may be coming from Rogers City. I mean, it's wherever they're hit. Hopefully it's not a retirement party night again, because that was bad. I know on Christmas Eve they had one in Emmett County because all of West Burt and like the Lansing right up 31 to Mackinac got nailed. They had a bunch out there. So they had one guy, and we had one guy in a bucket truck to cover from Sheboygan County all the way to Rocky City.
Wow.
And like I said, he was just coming and de-energizing stuff, which is unfortunately kind of why, like Joe's Beach was without power. I know a huge chunk on Birchwood, and then the stuff up here that powers off of the Woodruff feed was down. And I'm assuming probably down in Liberty Point got a few isolated hits too. Was it your house that got hit?
No, it was a cottage that we owned.
Okay.
And my sister was there, and at 8 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve morning, bam, the tree went down. Everything went out.
Wow.
And she left.
And on top of the radios down and the lines down, 6401 responding to a power line blew its air brake pancake and locked up right in front of the post office. It stops quickly when the parking brakes fly down. Right?
Oh my gosh.
So surprisingly, I don't know if the mechanic's wife likes me anymore, but R&R came over and fixed that on Christmas Eve day. So I don't really want to see that bill, but it's fixed and good to go.
Good. Well, I do think it's worthwhile to at least see if there is anything that we could look at for an ordinance. It's at least worthwhile for us to pursue that.
And I'll talk around that Tuesday and see what everybody else is doing and what their feelings are.
Yeah, it's good.
If it's
And obviously we know what we're going to do with the rest of people.
Yeah,
See, if it's declared a disaster, then you can get FEMA funds.
yeah, but I don't think.
But I don't think this was.
I think he did.
That's the problem.
We actually got very lucky here. I mean, there were some chunks that were without power for quite a while. I know Joe's Beach probably got one of the worst ones here, and then the top of the hill, and then Birchwood. But the rest of the town stayed energized. We never lost it here at all. Somehow.
Okay, great. Good report. It was really interesting, too, to see all this background. Okay, the next thing on is our project list for 2016, 2017. I just did what I read last week. I just made a copy of so that you could start. So you could start with what I had done. And I'm not saying we have to even look at these, but I think it's good to kind of remember what we said last time. So I think we just let's just brainstorm what we think is a priority for next year, and then go back and look at the money. I have one thing to add too before we get started. I called Brent after we talked about the $100,000 to tell him that we would for the East Mull Lake Road paving. Well, they can only put in $50,000, and I said, well, I have to take that back to the board because, prior to that you told me and I told the board that we would match, that you would match us. And he said, and I also talked to, oh God, what's his name? The guy on their board. Ken, yeah, thanks. Ken, I talked to Ken, And he said, they just ran out of money. So I said, well, I'm going to go back to the board. I mean, even though we voted on it, but I'm not sure the board is going to want to put in 100,000 and you guys put in 50 and we still do the project, because the value of that project was we had all the equipment there. But I just don't think that's right. So I didn't want to speak for the board, but I definitely wanted to bring it back. And my personal feeling is, and I told him this, that I don't think the board is going to put forth $100,000 for your 50. But I want to bring it back to the board. And he said, well, they could do it the following year. They just couldn't do it this year. So I said, well, then I don't think we'll be doing that project. You know, at the same time they're doing the rest of Dever Lake, we won't end up doing it.
Right.
Now, does everybody feel the same way, or?
Well, I do.
We can keep that
I'm
money.
If we went along, I'm starting to read between the lines here. If we went along with what you're talking about and we put the 100 and they put the 50, we're getting the thin coat.
Yeah, I told him we didn't want
and
that.
100 was the thick coat.
That's what I told him, and that's exactly what I told him. And I said, you know, and he said, well, we just can't do anymore. He agrees with the thick coat, by the way.
Yeah.
And he also told me, which this is kind of off the side, but they're only doing 2-inch wide sides, not 4-inch on the
2 foot.
2 foot, sorry, not 4 foot on the Dever Lake Road. That's just what they had planned. He said they will do 4 foot on the Mullett, on the East Mullett Lake Road when we do it. But anyway, that's just an aside. Jessica, I wanted you to make sure you knew that. So, you know, we voted for that last time. I think we can, you know, change that and say we'll look at that for the following year, you know, as a project. Because we are doing, the 2016 is 2017 is East Mullett Lake Road. So we've got another year.
The part in Kohler?
No, it'll start from, the first part starts at Orchard, Old Schoolhouse Road, and goes down, and the next year it goes the rest of the way to Kohler. This is
because this year there's a Kohler from...
yeah, but that's a different project. That's on
the way to, I can't remember what the name of the road is. But
yeah,
it's going
Shaker
north.
Road, I think, or something.
Yeah,
That's Kohler Township.
But that's Kohler, and that's being done out of the money, not the state funds that we would get the money from, but the tax money that we got, the millage money.
Millage money.
That's what that's being done from.
Well, that's where I'd like to stay.
Well, we won't get millage money for 3 years. We're not on the millage at all. The money we're getting to do East Mullett Lake Road is federal funding for primary roads. That's why we're doing it in 2-year patches. And that one patch, where we were going to, 23 feet, I think is what the project was. That is for us to make up the difference, you know, of that area. So, you know, I don't know. My personal feeling was that, well, I think we should hold on the 100,000.
What if there's no chance they're going to come up with the money in August?
Both of them said they didn't think they'd have any money. I mean, we could wait and check, but he said, well, they only had 50,000 that they could budget. So he said that he thought the best thing to do was delay it until they had more money.
Because they're not spending the money this year that they.
Well, they didn't
would
have.
normally.
They didn't get the money first because it was a graduated. You mean the state money?
No, I'm talking about all of the money they've been spending to take care of the roads, the salt and everything that they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
The winter has been pretty easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, you're saying they may have some extra money?
And they may.
I'm reading John's mind right now, and I'm kind of agreeing with John.
You want me to talk to Brent about that and see if
Let's just revisit it
in August or?
in August, and if they don't have it, they don't have it. But
Okay.
rather
Okay.
than yank it off the table.
Oh, I don't want to yank it off the table. I'm where you are, but I didn't feel very good about us paying 100.
No,
them
no,
having 50.
I don't want to go above that.
Yeah. No, I don't either, and I don't want to do it if they don't match us.
And I don't want the thin coat.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. Okay, then I'll just leave it there. I am going to call Brent and tell him that's what we're doing, that we're going to hold. But because I don't want him to give up that 50,000 either. So we're going to hold with the anticipation that it isn't going to be a heavy winter and you're going to have money left over.
It's a chance.
Yeah.
It's a pretty slim one, but
Well,
it's a chance.
I'll talk to him and just tell him I just don't want that money to disappear.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, then that takes care of that. Okay, do you want to go down this list and just see if this is still of interest to anybody? Burt Trail.
That still is of interest to me, just because I've been involved in it for so long, but that's not the only reason. I do think it's good for the community of Toppinabee and Mullett Township and Burt Township. So
When are we going to have to be asked for money for this, or when is that going to happen?
they're going to start pushing us hard next year.
2016?
2016, yeah, this year. To put some kind of plan together. Because if Mullett Burt goes through from the road commission, and of course they've got also their own millage that they're putting toward that, they're going to get that developed up to the mail route, and then they're going to start coming down the mail route. And if we don't get on board, then they're going to put their money toward Eagle's Nest and going that way. And
Then we'd miss it
then
completely.
we'll miss out. Then they won't have that incentive to to partner with us to come on into Toppinabee with it. And I think for the local community here, for Jeff and what other business might happen in Louise, I think it's important that we stay on board with that plan, whether we come all the way down Mail Route or whether we come in on Woodruff or we've talked several alternatives, but we've never really sat down and hashed them out. But in my opinion,
that's something we should put on a planning schedule for this year. I mean, to spend a meeting and just really sit down and talk about it, right?
yeah, I think so.
And bring in, or maybe even bring in the Burt Township guys.
Yep.
Okay, but there's really no money going against that this year.
No, not right at the moment anyway. We might, if we want to get a little bit of jump on planning, we might end up, spending some engineering money, but I don't see a whole lot going that direction right now.
Okay, we were going to, last year, clean out the old schoolhouse, and I think have the bat done removed professionally. You looked at that, didn't you?
Yeah, I had keep calling them.
Yeah.
And they just never got back to us. I think if we start a little earlier in the year, maybe we can get that done.
Was that
Early spring.
Yeah.
But we didn't start till June or July, and by then, those people were buried out.
What, did they give, you have any idea on the cost?
Have no idea. They didn't, until they look at it, they won't give us any.
Okay. I think people think we should still do that. I mean, we should get that done out if we do nothing else.
We have funds for that.
Yeah.
So that's been planned for.
Yeah. Well, this is for this year, so we can't use, this is for our new budget.
I know, but we have money put away for that. Dedicated
We have a savings
funds.
account for that.
Yeah,
bill.
okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, you're right.
Dedicated funds.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Renovate old schoolhouse, new drywall, ceiling, floor, et cetera. Is that still something people are interested in doing?
Yeah.
I am.
As for a major project for this year?
Well, we got to do the one up above first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once that's done, then we could go out for
Yeah.
bids for the inside
Yep.
and take a look at what really needs to be done, because we don't have any idea.
Yeah, so I think that's
Right,
a
because
planning.
you don't run drywall and things like
No.
that
No.
unless you know you got the power you want and the plumbing you want.
Yeah, there's many other things before
Right.
that.
Yeah, you can't just
Well, I'm just,
make it look pretty inside.
no,
and
I
go,
don't
"Oh."
think that was it was just to renovate it. So
Right.
I think the key thing here is we're going to plan in 2016 and maybe something in 2017.
Oh, yeah, that's a 2 or 3 year project.
Yeah. New fire hall in Toppinabee. I have a lot of interest in this one. I think Mike has a lot of interest in this one.
Nice.
I mean, what I would really like to see us is go up on top of the hill and build a fire hall up there. And of course, I think we should use the old schoolhouse for that as the actual fire hall. And I think we just need a fire building. I'd at least like us to talk about that as a plan and look at a design and what it would take to do something like that. I mean, that's another 2 or 3 year project, but I think it has at least some merit. Does anybody else feel that way besides me?
The purpose of buying that property up there by the schoolhouse
Was that?
was that idea and concept.
Yeah, I think it was Dennis's idea.
I've been on this board long enough. The schoolhouse getting fixed up is a bigger priority to me than the new fire hall at this time. But
Yeah.
I don't want to take that new fire hall thing off the list here.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying take off the list. The only thing is the use of the new schoolhouse is the issue. So if we're building a new schoolhouse, we really need to get aligned on what it would be for, because I would not support a new schoolhouse for a new library. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I would support to renovate the schoolhouse if we were going to use it for something like a fire hall for training and meetings and all the things that they do. Even for a triage center, if we talked about various things that we could do to get funding for that, how they fund these fire halls.
You're
today.
talking about the purpose of the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
But we're all in agreement about fixing it up.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But I think the design of it would be,
So,
Important
We
to know
didn't
what
want
you're
to-
putting in there
Yeah.
before you.
I just want us to be agreed to what we're putting in there before we fix it up.
Well, the purpose, in my mind, be it an office for the fire department or be it a library, is the same. I mean, as far as the electrical needs, the things that you would want in there, it's the same fixer-up per building. I mean, you wouldn't change.
I wouldn't change the inside of this. That would,
Right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I still have, I think to get people behind it, we have to talk about what we're going to do with it. Because I don't want in the end to have it fixed up and then have a huge community fight about, well, that's where we're going to move the library, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I think we should at least get input on what we're going to do with it if we're going to fix it up.
Yeah, and that's where I'm getting lost in your conversation, because you're saying we're gonna have the purpose, and we're not gonna fix it up. It must
No,
work on this way up here.
no. I'm not saying that at all. I totally agree with fixing it up.
Okay.
I do. I want to fix it up. At least I want to get that done out of there because I think that's dangerous personally. And then I do want to renovate it. But if I look at the renovation plan that I saw when I first came on this board, I'm not sure I would use that same renovation plan if I was going to do have it be a fire hall, fire building. I might do something different. I don't know. I need to talk to somebody that was professional. I didn't particularly like that plan anyway. So, and I'd like to have somebody come and talk to me about fire halls. What's the newest in design? What are things you want to have? How should they look? I just want to be more educated before I think we all want to be more educated before we spend a bunch of money. Not fixing the hall up, but just before we decide what we're going to do with it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm hearing what you're saying, but I'm not there.
Okay, well, what would you want to do? Tell me what you'd want to do.
Well, I saw Enbridge Township or Hebron Township. I saw them build fire halls. I saw them do it over in Alverno. And the fire department is one building. I don't see two buildings. That I see trucks and office and things in the one building when they're building it. I didn't see this building for your office and this building for your trucks. So, in theory, what I always thought or envisioned up there was we bought that property where that house had burned, and if we moved forward with a new fire hall, that was what that purpose of that property was for, with the well and the septic already there. And the fire hall would be the trucks and the firemen in the one building. I didn't see them having an additional office building off to the side.
Yeah, I think it was just an idea. I would have envisioned the same way you had, but I just thought it was an idea about how to use it effectively and just make a pole barn. Basically that's what these fire halls are. There's a pole barn.
There's a lot more that goes into a proper fire hall these days. The old ones, and there's quite a few in the county that are just pole barns. But if they need to meet OSHA compliance now, they need to have exhaust recirculate or exhaust extracting systems installed. so the guys can run their trucks and not eat diesel smoke because of the carcinogens. They've got to have shower facilities. They've got to have bathroom facilities, showers for obviously for decontaminating themselves. They got to have a place to in a protocol to store laundry that might come in contact with blood pathogens. You know, if they're responding to a vehicle accident, it's more than just a pole barn. It's more than just a concrete slab and 4 tin walls. And Mike's going to want hose drying racks in a new facility, so he's not draping them all over the floor in there and across the trucks, like I've witnessed. You know, after they do a
Got a little better rack now, but
yeah, but it's still and they have mechanical equipment that they can hook the hoses up to and blow air through them that speed the drying up. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can go into a new fire hall.
Well, that's all the more reason then for us to learn about a new fire hall before we do it.
It's possible that, you know, architect might come up with a way to put the school building as an addition, so that. But I agree with John. The office space and the truck space and the meeting space all needs to be in the same building, so that, you know, Mike's there doing paperwork and he's got guys, you know, working on the trucks. He's not having to, you know, run between buildings, especially in the wintertime or in a rainy day. Because a lot of times, I'm assuming your training involves some sit down in a meeting and go tinker on a truck at the same time. It's all part of the same effort. So I personally, if the community supports it, like the idea of turning the schoolhouse into a library. That's always been one of my ideas of that would be a good use for that building. The playground's right there. Mom, grandma, grandpa go up there and get some books, download something on their Kindle, and turn the kids loose in the playgrounds all at the same time. I just think that's a great use for that building. And the other part of renovating it was to actually put some proper flush toilet, handicap accessible toilets on the outside of the building, so that, you know, the playground would have access to proper restrooms. So I'm agreeing with you. We have a lot of discussion on that building before we start down a renovation path, because obviously we don't have agreement on the board. But I think the fire hall is a great priority. It needs to stay on this list, and it'll take what did Inverness do with theirs? I mean, it was like a 3-year project for theirs, at least.
Yeah, and there was some shortcuts, but they've got the plans still, you know, so you could actually, if they would release the plans, that's the engineering cost that you could avoid. But I remember Bob coming to us, and he even wanted us to take on a boat. Somebody was willing to give him a boat for ice rescue and things like that.
I heard that. Yep.
Those things got to be designed into this hall if we're going to go down that path.
Right.
Well, and if we can get funding for it some other ways too, other than just public funds, because the fire halls, when you and I have talked, have been really hard to fund unless you have something else going on like that. You know, some other kind of rescues or something else that we could help get funding for it. So, okay, we'll leave it on the list.
And then, you know, part of that planning, though, needs to involve what do we do with this space over here. And, you know, this would be a great place to expand the community center in that side of the building, in my mind. We still have the hall. We have a community center over there. We've got good restrooms between the two. I think there's a lot of merit to that discussion.
Yeah, well, I think we'll need to have it when we decide what we want to actually spend the money on. Fire truck for the east side, we need to leave that on there?
Yeah, I don't think that priority has changed.
It's been
Okay.
on the list ever since I've been on the board.
Yeah, you know, they've got a tank that they're putting Band-Aids on right now, and, you know, well, you and I looked at
Yeah.
that tank.
3 years ago.
At least 2 years at least.
Yeah.
And they're already having major rust problems with it, so.
John says he only has about a year left on that truck, as I checked
I'm believing that.
last month.
Yeah,
I knew this was coming up, and I talked to him about it.
yeah, we're either talking about getting a new one or throwing an awful lot of money into that old one, and I'm not in favor of that.
Well,
I'm not sure you can do that because of the age, right?
No,
No, you
you
can.
can run a
Can you
30,
run
40,
it?
50-year-old truck. It's just that
updating?
it lowers your, you know, we've been trying to get our insurance rating improved. It goes against your insurance rating to run old trucks like that, and also the NFPA requirements for inspections become a lot more
Right.
severe.
Yes, we spent a lot, I see the bills for the ISO thing, and we've spent a lot of money over the last 2 or 3 years for that, so, yes.
okay, kayak rack at the beach park. Is that something we want to do?
That's something that we should have done this past summer.
We can pass on that.
That's not expensive to do that.
No, it isn't expensive, or neither is a fire pit if we get that approved. Those two things are nominal.
That's the next one, fire pit at Boy Scout Park.
No, what we talked about was a fire ring.
Right.
A what?
Ring.
Ring.
A ring.
A ring?
I
Okay.
put pit,
Frozen.
ring, whatever.
If you recall, the Boy Scouts had several little cabins
Yeah.
that sat on cement slabs,
Right.
and we talked about putting rings in the center of those cement slabs
Mhm.
for different
And
individuals
we
to
haven't
have
done
little
that.
bonfires.
Well, we-
Not bonfires,
Those rings
but they could have
cost, what,
campfires
50,
on
60
that cement
bucks a
slab.
$100 if they cost
Maybe
that.
100?
Yeah.
You can buy
They're
them
not
at
that
any.
expensive.
Okay. That's not a big
You
deal.
have them at the market.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say, Jeff
yeah,
sells
at
them
the
right over
market.
there.
We do have one ring over there, but we'd like to put some more.
Yeah. Okay.
Kayak launch. This was on this side, I think, at the beach park.
Yeah, that's down by the
Do we
boat
wanna-
launch, but that would need to be fixed so that you would have a true kayak launch.
Well, I'm just
And I have
saying,
no idea what those run.
well, we had it in the project for the beach
It's at
park,
the
wasn't
beach,
it?
you're saying now it's at the
At
boat
the
launch?
boat launch, they did have, Dave would know better about that than anybody, wasn't that in the original plan?
I thought it was at
I
the
thought it was
beach.
right down here
It
at
was
the
at the
beach.
beach.
Yeah. it
Yeah,
was
it's right down here by the tree at the beach.
near the swing set.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, wasn't that in the plan?
Yes.
At the beach.
But
Yeah.
we didn't do it, did we?
no, but it was in
At the beach, though.
it was in the project, this past project that we didn't get.
No, it wasn't in the project, just
Oh.
the kayak rack.
Oh, okay, okay,
We
I
did
thought
not
that,
have that in there. But I think the plans are already there from Wade Trim on the original, but it was turned down because of, I think, savings or something. We just didn't do it. When we did the beach.
Refresh our memory, Dave.
Yeah,
ICE changed the configuration of the lake there. The kayak, the ramp was designed and built. It's not there anymore because of the ice.
oh,
I thought it was actually built as part of the deal, but the ice, yeah.
so it didn't get done.
No.
It did get done.
No.
The ice subsequent, the first year, the ice undid.
Oh, undid
what-
it?
Undid the construction that was done.
Okay.
And
So
ICE could
what
do
would
it
we
every
need
year.
to do
Yeah.
now?
I personally,
Change God.
You carry your kayak down, you put it in the water.
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
just what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You just
Boat
carry the
doctor.
kayak
All
down.
right.
Carry it down, put it on the shore,
You
and
just-
go away.
Yeah.
All right.
We
Not a
don't
problem.
need a
It's
formal.
everywhere.
okay, let's
boat
take
ramp.
that off then.
400 foot across.
What is,
What do you do with your kayaks, Mary Ann?
I just keep right on the beach. We go right into the water. Sand pit, I don't know, was this
I don't even know what that
at the, at Boy Scout Park?
Yeah, all I asked for was a truckload of sand for kids to play in.
For
Sand?
kids? A kiddie's
Yeah,
sand?
just a
Oh,
dump truckload
okay.
of sand for the kids to play in.
Okay.
We've done it in the past, And then after a while, they spread it all out and it's all over the place.
Okay.
And you just add another load.
All right,
That's these Mullett.
those are
They haul it
expensive.
around, they're shoveling some buckets and
Okay. So parking at Boat Ramp for Woodruff, that, I don't see that changing. I mean, that'd be wonderful, but we don't have any game plan for that. We got the dock done. Parking, okay, we want to keep the parking for the park and the trail access.
Yes.
Okay. Do we want
That
to,
can be done in several
pieces?
pieces. If we started on the north end this year and call it the Pavilion Enhancement Project.
Pavilion enhancement.
Doing the ADA walkway from the pavilion out to the parking lot, possibly enhancing or making that a little bigger and defining it a little better. I believe Dennis will probably need something for runoff down there,
Yeah.
either a rain garden or something. Because when you put a parking lot in, it's gonna drain and especially if we pave it. Now, if we just
If we
do the
limestone gravel it,
topography this year and gravel, then we probably wouldn't need anything for runoff until we pave. But we would, once we pave, all bets are off. We gotta have a rain garden or something.
Well, is this a project, we don't need to talk the project in detail, but is this something that, based on Mary's comment from the TDA, that you'd work with them on?
Yeah.
On that north parking lot and come back to us?
Yeah,
Is everybody okay with that?
it's a continuation of beautifying Tappanabee, but it's not an expensive project.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it in pieces. We didn't get the grant, but there are ways to keep the money down, and we have planned for it.
And there was some other funding, I saw somebody sent those grants, I can't remember who sent the grant.
There is the what is that, the passport?
Yeah,
Dennis might know more
I can't
about
remember
that.
what it
Do
was,
you?
but there was
Have you ever run into
No.
applying for those?
there was a Michigan grant.
Yeah,
from-
it's a Michigan passport grant of some sort. That might be a possibility of funds. There may be some other funds that we can look into too.
Okay.
But that's something I'd like to keep going on and
Okay.
looking at. I've got Paul looking at possibly expanding, Paul Rapasky, expanding maybe a few more parking spots other than the 6. But that does need to be defined. The truckers go in there and turn around. And I just think we need to get moving on it.
Okay, couple other things for this list for people. We have road gravels. Last year we did Cook, Tribon, and Birchwood. I had a proposal, and I got a call again 2 days ago from people on Hiawatha Beach, which if you saw, I sent you all the road commission paving surfacing evaluation, and the worst road we have in our township is Hiawatha Beach. And it was $8,700. If you remember last year, we decided to spend it on Tribon and not on Hiawatha Beach, but I'd like to put Hiawatha Beach on this year for,
That was a gravel project.
it's gravel. Yeah, it's gravel. And I don't have any other, even as I looked at this list, I think we'll still do the brines, but we don't have any seal and chip. We don't have, I don't have any other roads for gravel unless, when you looked at the list, you saw, Hiawatha Beach is our lowest one. There's Long Point Drive, that's M27 to Hiawatha Beach, and North Straits Highway, M27 to Long Point, are the 3 worst. Those are paved roads. The gravel roads, sorry, I'm going to be on the gravel roads. South extension to Orwin Street, or Manchester Drive, Tappanabee Millwright to Portage Street, or East Grand Boulevard, Thompson Drive to end of the road. are the 3 worst gravel ratings that we have in the township. So, but, we've got so many of them. I think I hate to say this, but I think we need to have people complaining to us, and,
One of the things that's happened in the past is they put down some gravel that had some clay in it, and then you got complaints.
Yeah, because we went to
limestone.
limestone gravel. We don't do the gravel
You
anymore.
gotta make sure that when you're 8,700 to do Hiawatha, that quote, that they're not still trying to push clay.
Yeah, I'll double
Fire
check, but
direction.
I bring that up every single time
Isn't
I go
that
to
all
them.
Acton?
I hope so.
It's supposed to be
Yeah.
all Afton.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be all Acton, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
That's what they did at Cook Road.
But-
They did.
But it has happened.
But when they dressed
Yeah.
the shoulders on Mullett Burt last fall,
But they put clay in?
Yeah.
they put 22A in, and they did not use Afton, and it all washed out the next rainstorm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question. You were talking about Burt Lake and Top of the View Mail coming down there. Were they thinking the 4-foot shoulders for that?
Yes,
For the bike trail?
yes. yeah.
Okay, I just,
4 or 5 foot shoulders, yeah.
yeah. Then if we were thinking of that over on Northeast Mullett, say, I'm sure those people would like to have
No, we're doing
at
4
least
feet.
one 4-foot area to bike.
They are doing 4 feet on Mullett, on East Mullett. That's already
What
in.
about Deborah Lake?
Only 2 feet.
3?
2.
2 on Deborah?
Yeah.
It's not quite as dangerous a road, but
It's a straight road.
yeah,
There's no curves. They
Right.
never had it before, and they rode it anyway.
yeah.
But the issue
Well, it's nice
is,
for walking it.
besides the biking and the walking,
Yeah.
the trucks they're running like this, and they're just taking the edge right off.
Yeah.
And if it was paved all the way out there, they wouldn't be doing that.
And that's what
That's
they've
it.
done to Mullett Burt Road, because they didn't put any paved shoulders there, and the winter plowing, they're pushing off to the side, and with their heavy trucks, and they're basically breaking
What
the
if
edges
they-
off the road.
Yeah, what if they brought the bike trail down to Bennett?
Well, that's what we have to talk about. There's all
No,
kinds
You're
of.
gonna talk about
Yeah,
it.
that,
They could bring it even to extension.
well, we
Yeah,
talked
we
about.
tried to discuss- no, but-
Extension was very expensive.
No, but there was something that they told me at the road commission, that because both sides of extension are paved that they thought the state could pave the middle part. There's something I told you about.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we need to go back and double check that.
Oh, yeah, if the state will come through the money with the
Well, it's
money,
because of the way
then
it's-
we could come down and, that's the perfect place to
Yeah,
come
that's what I
down.
think it is too. I think I'll talk to,
But if the state would do the middle, but that original price was
it was $1 million something, wasn't it?
$650.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else on this project
Yeah, I'd
list?
like to go back to the parking for the boat ramp.
Yep.
At Woodruff. I've had several conversations with Brett and, for one, about how that went down when we attempted it before. And I've been advised that we should bring that up again with the DNR. The trails people and waterways, that there might be a way, to get that through, because they all see that as a positive, to get vehicles off the shoulders.
Yeah.
And I told them what happened. We had somebody look in the ditch and see some cattails and said no, it's and then we had the trail people actually trying to say that they didn't want parking to get that close to the trail, but I think there's a new regime running the trails now.
Mm-hmm.
And that same individual isn't there. So
talk to Fred, is what you're saying?
yeah.
Well, we can bring him down and have him see what he
And,
thinks.
It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be cheap, but there is no more land there, but for those that never heard the proposed plan that we were trying to deal with, we're trying to fill the ditch. Basically put some tubes in the bottom of the ditch.
Right.
run some catch basins down into the tubes so that we could drain water somewhere. MDOT wants any parking separated from the road, so there had to be an inlet driveway and an outlet driveway, but just basically use the space from the shoulder to the trail and probably create 2 rows that we could get pickups or tow vehicles and trailers side by each with a running spot down the center and get them physically off the road, separated by some sort of curb. And I think we still need to pursue that.
Okay.
The drainage is what's expensive.
Well, the drainage in this
excavating.
it's mostly filling.
It's fill.
It's
No,
mostly
would it be all fill?
Yeah.
Is it that deep?
Yes.
And it's,
Okay.
yeah, you gotta
Because
bring
you'd
it
have to
right up
drain
to
it
the
somehow.
trail too, right? The trail base.
Pretty much level to the trail road. Well, maybe split the difference between the trail elevation and the road elevation.
The trail's a little higher.
Yeah. And you don't want water draining to the trail, but
No.
and we
See, there's a huge runoff too, going down, by Schneider's property, going right down that side. They tried to fix that part of it with when they paved it last year, and they put kind of a gully, but they haven't fixed that runoff. There's a lot of water that comes out of there. So, we'd have to address that. I mean, I think it's a great plan, but I think we'll have to address that water runoff.
Yeah, so I really don't want you striking that,
Off the Woodruff parking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible.
Over on the left-hand side, we
Right.
had put new gravel in, and we did a whole bunch of work down there. Okay, I didn't strike it. The only thing I struck off this list was the kayak launch. Everything else I left on, but I'll put that down, and I'm more than happy to talk to Fred about it and ask him to come down and take a look at it. But I think we'll have to get the DEQ down there too.
Oh, no, nothing can happen without involving the DEQ, the trails,
Right.
But this might be, where we use our consultant,
Everybody.
Yeah.
In the state.
Emily, you mean?
Emily,
Yeah.
to help us with.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, anything else that people have on their project list? What about this building, the inside of this building?
Paint the ceiling.
Well, no, we really need to do something with the tiles. And the last time we talked, I think John said we were going to defer it until, right, we were going to put it on project
Yeah,
list.
but couldn't we paint the ceiling?
I think you just replace them.
I think you replace
It's
them.
cheaper
You can
than having
replace them
somebody
or
painting
paint
them.
Oh, no, you don't want to paint these things. They look horrible.
Paint probably wouldn't look real good, but.
And besides, we got all that.
Would be all right.
Spend hours up there painting them.
What kind of insulation's up there, Dennis?
I believe it was fiberglass bats, is it not, Mike, floating on top of the
It's actually,
it's,
the old ceiling's above it.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't think there's anything right above us here.
okay, it's cellulose blowing in on top of the old ceiling then.
Yes.
I was thinking,
Because when we opened up the bathroom, where that issue was,
Yeah.
that wasn't pleasant.
There wasn't any insulation there?
Oh, there's lots of it in the
No, it
bathroom.
came all down.
yeah,
Oh, that's right.
A rather large chunk of which ended up on the floor.
Yeah.
yeah.
But no, this is open for like 1.5 to 2 foot to the original ceiling, above the drop.
Could we put insulation in there?
No, we don't need
You don't
to.
need,
Don't need.
We've got, if I
Is it
remember
an
calling around
R50?
up there,
yeah.
there's probably
Got a brand new
a
roof.
foot and a half of cellulose.
R50?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We just need the tile down.
Well, that's what we said before, that we needed to look at the tile. because
You know,
of
you
all the
look,
water.
the tiles are
Well, this
chipped.
is the issue here.
I know, but I'm looking at broken tiles
Oh,
up
yeah,
there.
okay.
Um,
Okay, well, then I'll put that on the list, replace.
And I'm agreeing with John, tiles aren't that expensive. The grid looks good.
And maybe repaint the walls since they have a little freshening up. When's the last time it was painted? Wasn't that
It was
long?
painted
Ralph did it.
Ralph did it, yeah, right before he left. That was 3.5 years ago.
The bottom was, Stuart.
Yeah, that's right, Stuart did
I
it
thought
too.
he did.
Yeah, Stuart painted.
I don't know, it needs to be painted. Do you think it needs to be painted? I don't. I
Maybe
think
it
we just need
needs
to do
that
the,
little scrub. There's just some spots back here.
oh, I see.
Maybe it's tape, maybe people had tape on
Well, you
it.
can fill those holes too. Okay, anything else? John, do you have anything else that you need on the other side?
Was there something still with our stoves? I'm sorry, John, did we have 2 stoves in there, or just one, or did
We
somebody?
have
We-
2 ranges
we
in
have
there.
2.
And they're both working properly?
We had a guy come out and fix it, remember, last year? Was it
I
after
heard that
Christmas or
one still
something?
didn't work. It just sets at one temperature and that's it.
Hobie fixed it.
Oh, he did?
Okay, I knew somebody had
He
come
said
out.
he was going
Hobie
to,
fixed
so it's
it
all
on his
set?
own. Yeah,
Okay.
Hobie fixed it on his own.
Yeah, John. Do you have anything else on the other side?
Not for this year.
Okay.
But I would like the board to consider in the future of maybe adding the electrical back to the pavilion.
A what?
On the other side?
Yeah, we used to have electrical that went to the Quonset building,
Oh, electrical going to the Quonset.
and I'd like to see the electrical go back to the pavilion over there so that those guys could keep a slow cooker going or something of that nature at the pavilion, but that's not this year.
Well, I'm just going to put it on the list so you have it. Okay, anything else?
Well,
And we know. we
What
have an
about,
electrical
plan
contractor
for
that
it,
knows
if
how
we
to
know
do that.
what's ahead.
What about the other, about the beach? You know, there was a whole discussion about the beach over there, you know, leveling it off and making it gradual. And I mean, now we're going to just dump some sand, but is that something that we still
That
want
was
to
part of the kayak launch, I thought.
Oh,
When
was
I
it?
was reading this, that's what I took that as, was they wanted a slow, gradual swim area and a place to launch the kayaks.
Oh, okay, got it.
Down on that side of the beach.
Okay,
As-
got it.
As the property, as you go down the 40 on the shoreline, the hill becomes less and less and less.
Right.
You're not.
So, but it was part of a committee conversation.
Well,
that-
it was part of the master plan that Wade Trim did for us 2 years ago.
Right.
When we did the restroom, that could go off to the west and there could be a trail.
Mhm.
And then it would tie into other trails in that property and maybe if we did across the street.
Dog walking, foot
It's a
paths.
long-term
Yeah.
project, but yes, that was,
It just seems
that was
like,
talked
it just
about.
seems like if we're kind of like, you know, the fire hall and this other stuff, that we should put that on the list as the continued upgrade of Boy Scout Park, and then have a sit down and talk about what we want to do when. You know, don't you think?
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
The thought was to keep as much rustic as possible.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I just think we should at least agree on the direction we're going and where we want to spend the money. You know, like you said, you don't want to replace electrical this year, but, you know, maybe you could do that with something else next year.
Right.
Okay.
Where do you dump the sand?
There's, as you enter through the gate, right over there halfway to where the old restrooms were, there was a pile of sand under a tree in the shade.
Okay. So it doesn't get washed away, it's
Okay.
up top.
And the kids would all go and play, and moms and dads would watch, and the dogs would roll, and it was all kind, but everybody, I mean, it didn't take them, they'd almost spread it out faster than you could dump it out of the truck, I mean, the way they played it.
Yeah, so you just basically are proposing
Just
leaving a
Just leave
5
it
or
there,
10 yard
yeah,
pile of
drop
dirt.
another 10 yards, and we used to do it every year,
Okay,
and let them play in the sand.
so it's not going down near the beach?
No.
Like, because you made that comment, that's why I jumped on it.
Well, that's why I was wondering what we were doing at the
That's
beach.
how Bill almost got thrown in jail when he ordered up a dump truck load of dirt on our old beach and put it in.
Why was that?
Because it erodes into the lake.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And DEQ had a serious fit over that.
Yeah,
Can't put sand in the beach,
No,
in the lake, can't put sand in the lake.
yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't proposing
You can
that,
bring
it
it
was
home
just
with you.
about-
Yeah, you can bring
It's
it
all
home
play.
with you.
yeah, yeah,
But you can't put it in the lake.
yeah. Okay. Well, when we get to that, we can direct where they put it. Okay, anything else you have on your list? Anything for you want to add to the project list?
No.
You want to add to the project list?
Hmm?
Anything else on the project list?
No, my projects are all there.
Okay. So then I think when we look at the budget, we'll just use this as our budget planning tool. Okay, good. Okay, I have, I guess we can, board comments and concerns, we'll go for that. John?
A couple things. I attended the meeting at the Indian Lake School regarding road funding that you had asked. You sent out an email
Yeah,
letting everyone know about it.
Yeah.
What I learned there was that the road commission doesn't have funds for secondary roads. It looks like all of their funding is going to be in the primary road side of it. I didn't realize that until I attended that meeting, that the money for them to spend on secondary roads is going to happen.
Is was it because they've got so much primary roads to fix?
The money they're receiving is earmarked
For the
towards
government's.
primary
Mm-hmm.
roads.
What about the millage money?
The millage money, no, that's something different. The millage money that passed under the millage here in the county, that's earmarked for the roads that were proposed on that millage.
Yep.
So
So they're talking the federal money, the federal and state
they were
money that
talking
we're
about
getting.
the federal and state money.
Yep.
Now the one lady that was at the meeting, she says, you're taking money from the gas I buy. Yeah, Peter Battaglia was there. And you're taking money out of the homes, the tax dollars on the home, and this, and you're nice enough to give that back to our community for roads, but you're telling me it can't go on the road I live on, even though it's, she asked if that was fair. That's everybody's ears in the room perked up, and he said, no, it's not fair, but it's not going on your road, and sorry to say, but you chose to live there. Was kind of the way he worded it.
Oh.
And you could hear a penny drop in the room. That conversation was going on. Carl was there. But the other thing that I have is regarding this Christmas storm that Mike is talking about. Consumers Power called me at home asking me about Toppinabee Shore Drive and how to find it. There was a couple individuals, elderly, that needed assistance and they were out of power, and I couldn't help them. They did end up, by the time Dennis got a hold of me 45 minutes later, and by the time I called them back, they'd already got it handled, but it was...
Was it this end, Toppinabee Shore?
Where is it?
I have no idea.
Somewhere along the lines, Lakeshore,
Right.
on this end becomes Toppinabee Shore
Shore.
Drive.
Oh.
And I only learned it from when we got paged there.
Isn't it like down by
before
Scott
I-
White? Is that right?
Yeah.
By Sandy and Dave's and that comes up by Travis?
And they usually cross through
That's
the
what I remember.
Sutherland
It's
still.
recall.
It's really rude when you dispatch to it.
And the,
Wow.
The old couple.
But the call come from not 911, but from Consumers Power Company. They're going to the phone book and they're calling township officials when they need help and they can't get it out of 911. So
We probably have something, is that be in your area, Mike, to work with 911 to get that road name standardized?
It is as far as they're concerned. That's what it's paged out as, is Toppinabee Shore Drive.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I always thought it was just a continuation of
It's on the
Lakeshore.
tax bills, Toppinabee Shore Drive.
Oh, is it?
But somewhere it's gotta be planted that way.
Wow.
And
Okay.
Central's mapping all comes like kind of screwed through the phone system, or through the phone company. Because I know to change an address or change a coverage area, it takes an act of Congress and the phone company.
Well, at least we all know where it is now. Do you have anything, Dennis?
No. No, other than that, I can say that Bennett Road has been a pretty well-used training area for the fire department and power lines and down trees this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Every time I see flashing red lights down that road now,
They never go
there's
to
another
Kathy's.
tree down.
We have two power companies on that road. Fortunately, I was with the right power company that day.
This time.
Okay,
There are lots of roads.
I have one thing.
That makes you want to pull your hair out trying to guess which is which.
I have one thing. I got this from Clayton, I guess last week, whatever. And he got it from Alan Granger. And basically, this is he didn't know what to call it, if we should call it a split or but let me tell you what it is. Apparently, these people down on Long Point Drive have been, they're two people that live right next door to each other, and they've had Granger come out to do a survey of their land, of the two lands, and it's a person named Richard Greeley, Greeley, and William Conway or Sandra Conway. And basically what they're doing is they're adjusting, let's see, I'm going to get this right, the right wording he said, adjusting occupied property lines by doing a split. They're adjusting the already occupied property lines by doing a split. But it's not exactly a split, according to Clayton. But he said he didn't know where else to put it because we have to approve it. And what these people are doing, and they're doing quick claim deeds back and forth to get their lines right, according to the surveys that Greenlee has done. Do you understand this?
This is old business for this board.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know anything about this.
This-
Okay.
This is, yeah.
Okay.
This is seriously old business, and
Then why am I getting it right now?
well, because they have apparently agreed to talk to each other and solve the problem. And what's happening is commonly referred to as a lot line adjustment.
Okay. Well, he didn't say that's what it was.
Yeah, and that's what it is. So they're splitting off of one person and adding it to the other.
Right.
Maybe one portion, and then at this end they're splitting the other way and going the other direction.
Exactly.
Because things are skewed.
Yeah.
And there was a
And
bit
they've
of
already-
a war, and they were trying to get the township to basically replat that whole property at the township expense, and
Yeah, he said that he did say something about doing assessor's plat, but he said they have been able to, and I didn't really know the history of that. He said they've been able to resolve it, and he said we should support it.
yes, and I'm going to
Yes,
agree with
absolutely.
Okay.
And
So what did you call it? Just so I.
A lot line adjustment.
Okay, so they're doing. They have in this package quick claim deeds to each other,
Yeah.
and it's all been done through Granger. And I was more than happy to call Granger and get more information, but I think once I talked to Clayton today, he's all over this. And he said he thought we should approve it also.
And I'll make that motion that we do.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, good. Okay. Is there any more discussion?
I will motion
To
Motion to
approve.
approve the Greeley-Conway lot line adjustment between properties.
Right. As surveyed by, I'd say as surveyed by
surveyed.
Alan Granger. And then I'm going to just give you this, Rachel.
Yeah, I'll need that so I can get all the information.
Okay. And then I'll call Clayton. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and a second to approve a lot line adjustment for Greeley and Conway. Property as surveyed by Alan,
Oh, it's GRA, okay.
by Alan Granger. Is there any discussion about that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, motion carries. Okay, thank you. Kathy?
No, nothing for me.
Rachel, do you have anything else?
No, but my parking lot is what I was working on.
Okay, could I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. A motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
The reason I wanted a motion is because I didn't want to see the word split.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad he said